Y'all planning for this?
Welcome back, TPR Nation. This is Jamie Shalansky in an episode of Worlds to Conquer, and I am so fired up this morning. And I'm fired up this morning because I was committed to renewing my morning success ritual, sometimes especially during periods of mini surges and times where we're really grinding and we've got so many obligations and you just want to get up and you want to deviate from that ritual because there's all these other things that are competing for your time. That is when you need to get back on track the most. So this morning, I went back to those morning success ritual routines, and I am so fired up because I heard something today that is just shaking me down to my core. It's making me feel so much gratitude and so much opportunity amongst us. And as I listened to this preacher talking about God's glory and God's gift to us, he said it took 7 days for God to make the heavens and the earth. And the millions of years that we have existed since then, not on one single occasion has God made a table. Not once did God stop what he was doing and make furniture for mankind. But you know what he did? He gave us trees. And he gave us an abundance of opportunity that surrounds us all the time. And sometimes we get so focused, so distracted on the task at hand that we forget that we are living in a world of abundance, especially when the media is constantly feeding us garbage and we are ingesting it by the fistful. We are programming the algorithms and the artificial intelligence of every media device that we touch. If you pause on, who hasn't seen, what is that show? The Social Dilemma on Netflix. If you haven't watched that, it's amazing. Most of us it's old news for us. But everything we do online, every fingerprint, every pause, everything is being recorded and watched consistently. People have even shown that when you have an iPhone, if you use an infrared camera, even when you are not physically taking a photo on your iPhone, it is still taking images and recording those images somewhere. So what blows my mind about this actually is that we all know this and we agree to it. We have acquiesced to this invasion of privacy. We have allowed the algorithms to decide what type of information is worth ingesting. And we have programmed these devices to give us garbage all day. And we ingest it hand over fist. So it is easy. It is super easy to think for 1 second that the world is just negative and harmful and there's so much disruption and there's not all this good happening in the world. But one thing that I've always consistently told my nieces, my nephew, my son is that open your door and look outside. Go across the street, meet your neighbor, talk to the people in the streets, talk to the people in your community. There are more good people in this world than there are bad people, but we are only highlighting the negative attention. We're only highlighting the bad people out there. And it is easy for us to forget that we live in a world of opportunity and abundance. And we need to come back to that. You need to be looking at your life right now and saying, okay, we're in the thralls of summer. Where have I maybe started to slip? Where have I maybe abandoned certain routines and rituals that I was doing really, really well and they were effective? And how do I get back to those? So if, like me, you allowed the summer chaos to come in, you got RV trips, you got family from visiting out of town, you're mountain biking, you're fishing, you're doing all of those fun things that you love to go do because it's summer, and your load is a little bit lighter because you're doing surge where you have a disciplined, focused period of time in which you're doing nothing but with meeting with clients consistently. And now that you're outside of surge and observing many surges, you got a lot more freedom. You have a lot more flexibility in your schedule. The days are long. We live in the land of the midnight sun. I am normally a 9 o'clock bed person. I've got a doormat that says, please leave by 9. I've put suggestions throughout my house to remind guests, I'm a good host. I need you to be a good guest. Please scoot out of here by 9 because that's when I like to go to bed. But during the summertime, You can't tell it's 9 o'clock at night because we got sunshine all of the time. And so we're burning the candle at both ends. We're spending money on espressos and row and fishing and gas, and we're jaunting just absolutely everywhere and having such a good time that it is super easy to get distracted from our year-long goals. It's super easy to forget about doing those morning success rituals and why they matter so much. Now, sometimes we talk about getting off of routine and needing to get back on routine because we've slipped into some type of funk. We're not as happy, maybe we're not as delivering as much value, we're not hitting our goals, and we've slipped into some low state, some funk period in which we just aren't feeling quite like ourselves. And so the first piece of advice maybe your therapist or your coach or your mentor or your family members are going to give you is, hey, what's your daily routine? Are you back on your routine? And so we are really good at assessing whether or not we're off routine when we've slipped, when we've got into a funk, when we don't feel quite ourselves. But what happens when it's the opposite? What happens when we do feel very much ourselves and we're having a whole lot of fun and we've got a ton of energy and we're doing all these things and we're really adhering to that lifestyle practice and we're refilling our cup? And is this the right time to check in on yourself and say, hold on a second, I'm really off routine. I'm really off track. And while this has been fun, while this has been an acceptable period of time where maybe I don't have to be as disciplined, what kind of result is that going to have? What kind of impact is that going to have come Q3, Q4, when we start tallying up our goals and looking at our benchmarks? Is this the right time to check in with yourselves and saying, hey, am I starting to slip? Am I starting to forget that I set really ambitious goals last year for this year? Because gosh darn it, I am having so much fun. And when we talk about building a lifestyle practice for a registered investment advisory firm, an RIA, and if you're in the broker-dealer space and you're listening to this, it's kind of the same thing because a lot of BDs have hybrid working situations now where maybe you are solely a BD or maybe you're a BD and have an independent RIA as well. But you've been listening to the Perfect RIA for years. You have really taken on the lessons. Maybe you're one of our Backstage Pass or Invictus members. And remember, we offer two types of membership here at the Perfect RIA. There's Backstage Pass and there's Invictus. And Backstage Pass is kind of like purchasing a gym membership. You get access to everything that Matthew Jarvis, Micah Shalansky, and Jamie Shalansky use in their financial planning practices, but you're not going to get any guidance on how to use it. You're not going to get that hand-on-hand personal training instruction. Those are our Invictus members. Our Invictus members say, yeah, I don't want just access. I want to catapult my growth. I want somebody to guide me through how to tackle these big goals that I know are achievable, but I just don't know how to get there. And that's that personal training. That's that Invictus membership. Those are for people that are so serious about their goals that they're going to put their money where their mouth is. They're going to cut a really big check and they are going to be held extremely accountable by the Invictus membership team in order to go achieve the goals. I mean, this is hyperdrive for goal and expansion activities. And a lot of our Invictus members, when they joined, they said, listen, I don't want to have an enterprise office. I got maybe one or two advisors. I've got a junior, and so I've got a good succession plan going on. But really, I'm just working all the time, Monday through Friday. I mean, I feel I have to be at work at 7 and then I'm not going home till 6. And even then I'm bringing out my laptop on the kitchen counter because a couple of things still need my attention. And so they needed help implementing Surge. They needed help defining when was acceptable time to work and how they start blending this lifestyle practice. Because somewhere along the way, some idiot probably wrote an article saying that lifestyle practice was synonymous with lazy financial advisor. And that is 0% the case. That is like telling Olympians that they're lazy just because they only want to train for the Olympics. That's stupid. Lifestyle practice means being hyper intentional about your time because that is the only thing that keeps a level playing field amongst all of us throughout civilization. We all have the same amount of time. And so when we develop a lifestyle practice, what we are talking about is being hyper focused and hyper intentional so that you can deliver massive value to the client, spend more time outside outside of the office with the people that you love, and be highly profitable. All three of those things are paramount. When we talk about delivering massive value to clients, that means we're not talking about your fee structure. I don't care how you are paid. It does not impact my life whatsoever. What I do care about, and this has become a horrible, horrible habit, and just jump on LinkedIn. I'm barely ever on social, but whenever I am, I'm just reminded of all the reasons I don't want to be. And if you jump on social and you start looking up fee-only advisors, it's the very first thing that fee-only advisors put on their bio. And it is so disheartening to me because I don't care if you're fee-only. Knock yourself out. Fantastic. It has nothing to do with my life. But what value does that provide to the clients or the prospects that you're trying to meet with? When you put the money first, you're putting the heartbeats second. When you put the money first, you are putting the heartbeat second. Now, when I say this to you, do not for 1 second think that I am being a super hypersensitive, altruistic person. That is not who I am. I don't have that. Am I a capitalist? Hell yes, I'm a capitalist. But I believe in a greater good. I believe in a spiritual being. And I believe that when we put value first, money follows us. Put the value first, and money will find you. In the financial planning industry, we have developed this culture, this almost like subcult culture that does nothing but want to talk about fees. In my experience, I've never once seen a fee stop somebody from having a successful retirement. And I don't care how you're paid. I don't care if you're charging AUM fees. I don't care if you're charging financial planning fees. I don't care if you're doing both. I've never once seen a client not be able to retire because of the financial planning fee, because of the asset under management fee. Now, I have seen people not be able to retire or have to go back to work after retirement because they didn't hire a financial advisor, because they didn't go get help. And we've all had that client. We've all had that prospect that comes in at age 55. They got about $300,000 in their 401ks between the two of them. We would like to retire at age 60 or 65, and we figured it was time to start planning for that. Unless they've got one sweetheart of a pension package in place for the rest of their lives, you're about to really have a difficult conversation with those people. And the first question out of the gate isn't going to be, tell me what your fees are. It is going to be, how can you help me plan for retirement? I don't want to outlive my income. I want to make sure I'm going into this eyes wide open. And so we have to change our focus in the financial planning culture. We have to change our focus into delivering massive value first. And that starts with regardless. I mean, Floyd and I, gosh, we had a prospect just come through the doors, attended one of our Plan Your Federal Retirement seminars. And so we give them a courtesy initial consultation. Normally we charge $497 for initial consultation. But if you attend one of our in-person workshops all day, it is something that we will offer to you so that you have an opportunity to come in and ask one-on-one questions. When you're doing seminars, you're painting in what we refer to as a very large brush. And so the advice and the information that you're giving people is very generic. And the one-on-one consultation affords people an opportunity to come in and get their specific questions answered. So regardless of the prospect and how much asset under management they have, how much cash flow they have, what their earning is, they're welcome to come in and get their questions answered. So Floyd and I had a prospect come in, and this woman got, gosh darn, almost confrontational with my dad. Now about cash flow, and just saying that she absolutely did not have enough money in order to save anything for retirement. She was going to retire in the next 6 years. She had around $170,000 in her portfolio total, debt up to her eyeballs, excellent earning potential, and kept professing that she had a very low lifestyle and she had abundance of money that she could be saving, but she can't because she has bills. And bills were the evil culprit keeping her from being able to have a successful retirement. Now, financial advisors out there listening, team members out there listening, are bills going to stop the moment you retire? Even if you were to pay off your house and not have a mortgage? No, bills are going to continue. You're going to have bills until the day that you die, as long as you want to experience goods and services, things like foods and utilities and transportation and vacations and all of these things that keep us working in a functional society. So bills wasn't a good enough answer. And as my dad started diving diving into this with her, trying to sculpt her mind shift on how to think about all of this, she was getting very self-deprecating. So she was getting self-deprecating. She kind of pushed back from the table. She was spinning in her chair, and she was giving all these reasons why things couldn't happen and why Floyd was wrong. And then it ended up saying, well, I already have a bunch of spreadsheets because she's an engineer. I already have a bunch of spreadsheets. I already know a bunch of people that retired successfully just like me, and they were fine. And so I could tell Floyd was on the brink of folding up his stuff and saying, well, if you're so gosh darn smart, then you go out there and figure it all out yourself. And he was just done with this conversation. And so that's when, especially taking that higher road, knowing that our intent is to deliver massive value, regardless of whether or not the prospect is an ideal client. This is a woman we would never bring on as a client because she didn't hit all three of our P's, which is personal, profitable, and productive. If they're not personable, you don't like them. I often joke with clients and I say, listen, I only work with people I want to go get a glass of wine with. And if I wouldn't go get a glass of wine with you, I probably don't want you as a client. And then we all get a good chuckle out of that. And then profitable. I've got to make a living. I have an obligation to make a living to the people that I love and the employees that I have. So I've got to be able to charge you a fair and reasonable financial planning fee or AUM fee in our office. And then it's got to be productive. If you are so resistant to advice, cool. Go figure things out by yourself. You don't need me. You can just keep pounding the pavement all by your lonesome. So you've got to be those three P's. Now, this prospect didn't hit any one of those. I wouldn't go get a drink with her. She's not productive, and I'm not going to make any money. It's not going to be a profitable situation. So that doesn't hit all three of our P's. And so do I, at that point, completely disengage? Because the reality is we do these financial planning workshops as a prospecting event to bring on clients. And I gave everyone the opportunity to come in and meet one-on-one with the financial advisors in our office. Now, is this how we onboard new clients? Yes, of course it is. But my responsibility when we made this offer was to make sure we answered every single person's questions, regardless of whether or not they would become a client. So focusing on that delivering of massive value, that's what we had to come back to. So in that awkward moment when the tension was super high and my dad was seconds from singing, if you're so stinking smart, you go hang up the Christmas lights, I turn in the chair and I say, hey, listen, I want to make sure we get back on track. I want to make sure we're answering your most immediate question. You came in here because you're very concerned that if something happened to you as a single parent, you're going to leave your kids destitute. And she said, yes, I don't have any of my estate planning figured out. So great. All right, let's start going through that. There's 4 documents, 3 of them you need. You have to have. You need to go have a durable power of attorney. You're a single individual. Who are you entrusting to make your financial decisions today if you're not able to? The second document, advanced medical healthcare directive. Don't put your adult children in the responsibility of having to make life decisions for you because you were too lazy to do it yourself. You need to have an advanced medical healthcare directive filled out. So there's no fighting amongst your 3 kids, and you're telling them exactly what you want to have happen. The third document that you need to get filled out, you need to have a will. Don't leave your 3 kids fighting over who gets what. And she was like, okay, great. And she goes, well, because the house is my biggest, liability, should I increase my insurance? Right? And so started, answering her questions. Was this somebody we were going to onboard and do a full financial plan for? Absolutely not. But did this give her an opportunity to have value? And guess what, guys? Even though she wasn't going to become a client, even though this is something we wouldn't pitch because she didn't hit our 3 Ps, she still deserved this advice. This was still really good advice that will change the trajectory of her life. And when we came back to focusing on that, when we came off of the cash flow, because she was embarrassed, money is emotional, so she was super embarrassed. How do I know she was embarrassed? She wasn't telling me that. Her body language was radiating it. She was giggling at things that weren't funny, and she was being super self-deprecating. So we didn't focus on the cash flow. Instead, you have a guided discovery about what she needs to do. Now, as we got through with all of this and came towards the end of it and talking about cash flow and investments, she said, you know what? the best thing I could do is increase my TSP by $1,000 a month. I'll never miss $1,000 a month out of my lifestyle. And then that will also give me the discipline to know I can't touch that money, but it is there if I needed it. Great. Sounds like a wonderful idea. I love salary deferral programs. Here's what you need to go do. And by the way, because we're all about delivering value, I'm going to leave you with some action items. So these 3 estate planning documents that we talked about, when are you going to have them done by? Give me a date. And I made her have to give a date and follow the deadline. Now, will our office follow up and make sure she achieves those? No, because she's not onboarding as a client. I don't owe her anything. I owed her that hour of time to make sure we were delivering massive value and answering her questions. Now, continued financial advice, that's on her. That doesn't have to be my responsibility. But making sure that we're focused on that delivering a massive value, because if Floyd had thrown his stuff to the side, which he really wanted to, but is too good of a professional to have done so, but had he thrown his stuff to the side, what would that person have left that office feeling like? They would have been angry, and they would have been no longer feeling embarrassed or ashamed, but now they've got somebody to blame. Now they have a villain, because when it comes to the story of their life, when it comes to everything that is happening for them as an individual, in this narrative, there are only 3 characters. There's the villain, there's the hero, and there's the guide. And most financial advisors I talk to, they mistakenly think in those character realms that they are the hero. You're not the hero. The client is the hero. You are the guide. And so during that conversation, we had an opportunity to be a guide or to be the villain. And it would have been really easy for us, because we don't have to give everyone the time of day like we do, to just become that villain and say, yep, you know what? You're so smart. You figure it out. See you later. Bye. And instead, we chose to be the guide. So now she leaves that meeting. She feels empowered. It was a good hour spent one-on-one, and she knows what she has to do. And that responsibility, as it always was, is hers to go and get it done. Now, when she returns back to her office, because it was during the workday, what is the experience she's going to tell people about? Is she going to tell them, oh my gosh, that, stuffy financial planning firm, they said I can't retire, but shoot, I know plenty of people. I'll just go back and do this and blah, 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 right? She could have made up this whole horrible story about how it was all of our fault. Or she left that meeting and said, y'all got to go talk to those folks. Y'all got to go talk to those folks. They are serious about you getting your stuff done. They made me get a deadline, and I got to get on these things. I've got to get on these things because I only have 2 or 3 weeks before that first deadline starts popping up. And so we create this experience, regardless of whether or not we were going to onboard them as a client, as making sure we are delivering massive value. So when it comes to building that lifestyle practice, it's not about laziness. It's about intentionality. It's about delivering massive value when you are focused on client meetings. Now let's talk about that second tenet, spending more time outside of the office with the people that you love. You have to be just as focused on that element as you were on your work. And so sometimes that means doing the hard things. Now, when we are outside of Surge, does that mean that we are never responding back to clients? We are never getting work done, etc.? No, it just means our workload looks differently. And sometimes that means that we're totally out of the office. Maybe we're, backpacking through Western Alaska. Maybe we're out at a fishing lodge. Maybe we are doing something where we're spending a few weeks or time periods where we have no connectivity to the office. That's acceptable. That's time blocked on the calendar. But during those other moments, we are being hyper focused on the financial advisor perfect week, because outside of Surge, that's when our work gets done. That's where we are doing the things we told the clients we said we were going to do, but we are also balancing that time with being really, really hyper focused on our families. And in order for that to happen, we have to be hyper disciplined. So we have that financial advisor perfect week for a reason, what you should be doing outside of Surge. And you should get up and get your done so that you can spend the rest of the time with your family. Because what ends up happening if you are not hyper disciplined, if you are not on routine and you are not focused, is that you'll have all of these things that have to get done, but they'll keep getting waylaid because your spouse or your kids or whoever that is in your life that monopolizes your time will need something from you. And they'll say, hey, I thought you weren't working. Hey, I thought you were outside of surge. Hey, can't we do this today, or do you have to work? And you'll keep making reasons why you were doing surge, why you were so focused, and you'll try to incorporate more flexibility than what outside surge should look like. So you need to be disciplined about the days and times that you're getting up and getting things done. So that way your team knows when to depend on you, your clients know when you should be expecting things back, and you also know when you're supposed to be focused and when you are supposed to be disengaged from the office. That is just as important, because what I don't want to see you do is sloppy work. And sloppy work means, okay, well, my spouse, my kids, we don't really have anything planned. So I won't be in my physical office, but I'll be at the house and I'll have that laptop, I'll have that iPad open on the kitchen table, and I'll just do a little work and check in as needed. And when your family comes in, what do they see? Do they see you doing a little bit of work? No, all they see is you doing work. All they see is you on a screen, you doing something that isn't about giving them undivided attention. And then you start that marital, conversation about you're always working, you're always on your device, you're always on your phone, you're always. And you get zero credit for all of the time that you're not on your phone and you're not on your computer and you're not on your iPad and you aren't always working. But you have to be really, really intentional about breaking away from work and showing up for the people that you love and planning things for when you're outside of the office so that you can incorporate a lifestyle practice without seeing diminishing returns in your client credibility, diminishing returns in your growing practice, and diminishing returns in that love bank you call your marriage or relationship. Now, that third tenet of building a perfect RIA is all about profitability. And you have a responsibility to be profitable to your practice because the bills have to get paid. Money is an exchange of energy. It is an exchange of life energy. And so the work you put in has to give you returns back. It has to be profitable. And if you are forgetting to track your profitability because it's summertime and maybe you're getting distracted, you're doing other things, then shame on you. Dust off the books. Look at where you're at with your goals. At the end of every single quarter, I take that first week and I look back and I say, what cuts do I need to make? What did we sign up for that we're not using? What things did I tell myself we were going to sign up for this year and I didn't do? Heck, if you are listening and you keep saying that you need to sign up for Backstage Pass or Invictus and you haven't done it, shame on you. Shame on you. Email us right now at lifestyle@theperfectria.com. You're clearly listening to this on some type of device. So open up your email because you probably forgot to take your email off of your phone like you keep promising yourself that you're going to do, and email us at lifestyle@theperfectria.com and tell us I need an appointment with Tracy Ottinger right now. Do it now. Be the change you keep telling yourself you're going to be. Because if you keep waiting for the ideal time or the perfect month or maybe next year or when I have a little more money, that time never comes. It never comes. Ask anyone who has adopted a puppy or had a new baby. There is no perfect time. So start that process today. Start being the change you want to see today. Prepare for that leader you are going to become in the next 3 to 5 years. If you're a team member listening to this and you know your financial advisor should be a member, then you email us, you get Tracy on their calendar, you join that meeting and you say, hell yes, we want this. We want more training just like this. Let's be the change we keep promising ourselves we're going to be. Start keeping the promises you keep making to yourself and making to the people that you love that you're going to get better. You're going to be more. You're going to achieve these goals and start taking action. All right, TPR Nation, this is Jamie Shalansky in an episode of Worlds to Conquer. And you know this podcast and everything we do here at the Perfect RIA is 100% about empowering you to take action and make decisions that will impact the trajectory of your life. And not just your life, but all the people around you that love you and influence you. Everything we do is for the betterment of that. So here's the action items that you can immediately take. 1, are you off your morning success ritual? Do you have a morning success ritual? What are the things that you are doing every single day during low times, medium times, and high times to become that person you want to be in the next 3 to 5 years? Who is that person? What steps are you taking now? What does that morning success ritual look like right now? All right, second action item that I want you to do. Come on, you already know it. You got to email us at lifestyle@theperfectria.com. If we're not the right coaching program for you, go find somebody who is, but find somebody that's going to hold you accountable to go and achieve the greatness within you, because you were put here. You were put here by a maker to be exceptional. Out of all the things that God could create, he could have created furniture and he didn't. What he did was he gave us trees, and trees gave us an abundance. So find somebody that's going to speak to you and work with you and really level up your game so that you can live in a world of abundance and greatness and become the inspiration that so many people in your lives are depending on you to be. You need to show up for them. And this is how you do it. Step 1 is showing up for yourself. It is recognizing that you don't have to do it alone. You are choosing to do it alone. You do not have to do it alone. You are choosing to do it alone. So email us at lifestyle@theperfectria. And if we're not the right program, let us help you, point you in the right direction, get you lined with somebody that's going to make sure you're pushing towards greatness. TPR Nation, this is Jamie Shalansky in an episode of Worlds to Conquer. Go find people who share your values and change the world.
Hold on before we go. Something that you need to know. This isn't tax, legal, or investment advice. That isn't our intent. Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice. Be a better husband, father, mother, and wife. The perfect RIA, the